Hey, what's up, everybody? Timmy D here, and I wanted to jump on here and give you guys 7 awesome tips that will help you cold call like a master. Um, Nobody likes to do it. Nobody likes to call absolutely cold leads. We all like to rely on our ballers. We all like to rely on the guys we've been dealing with. But you know as well as I know, those guys aren't around forever. You lose guys. And if you're lazy and you don't make up for your attrition, you will fail. Okay, so you got to at least be making some cold calls. You don't want to get rusty either. You got to make some every week. Okay, keep accounting for that attrition. Keep a couple new ones coming in. But I'm going to help you make it a little bit easier. I got 7 awesome tips for you. And a few of these you're going to be like, wow, why didn't I think of that? But these are some good tips. I've been doing this for 21 years. I've built 2 successful companies, um, all done by telesales. Okay, and so I know what I'm doing. 22 years in telesales total, and I've been in many different industries. So not to brag, but I like to think I know what I'm doing. So um, let me help you guys out here, and give you some awesome tips. One thing I always do is, number one, I always use humor. Of course, this is something probably a lot of you guys already know. Use humor. Don't be afraid to make yourself vulnerable. Okay, even if you got to crack a joke about yourself, it works really well, to drop the guy's guard on the other end. Um, you know what I mean? So definitely keep using the humor, pour it on thick. That's what I do. Now, besides using humor, here's one that maybe a lot of you haven't thought of that's worked really well for me. I just happened to do it one day, about 9 years ago, on a customer that I was trying to get him to buy like a few times, and I think he hung up on me like 3 or 4 times in a row, and I was getting nowhere with this guy. And then all of a sudden, the same customer I'm telling you about right now is now my best customer. In fact, I just sent him to a baseball game, the Reds game, like 3 weeks ago. And so you know what I mean? Never write anybody off. A guy that hung up on you 3, 4, 5 times in a row could turn out to be your best customer, like this guy. So current events, do your homework. I mean, if you're calling, if you got a customer or a potential customer, that's in Ohio or whatever, then look up what's happening in Ohio. Could even be the weather. Weather's boring, but whatever. Look up current events in the area, and that's why when you do cold call, you want to call a group like, a bunch of them from Florida or a bunch of them from Ohio, because that way you can kind of find out what's happening in that state, and you can roll with that all day and just kind of roll with a campaign and do it that way. But besides humor, current events work really, really well. Now, the next tip should be something that you guys are already doing, but man, I watch salespeople every day, man, and it's like, what the heck? These guys are acting like you can't act like you're a stranger. You got to act like you're friends with this guy. So you have to use their name. You have to name drop. John, how would you feel if I did this? Oh, I know what you mean. I can understand that, John, but what I'm talking about is blah, blah, blah. So you definitely want to use the guy's name, and you, before you know it, you're subconsciously putting it in that guy's head, in the customer's head, that you guys are on a higher level than just you just cold called the guy. So definitely name drop. Okay, that's important, very important. Because if you don't nail the first 10 to 15 seconds, you'll be talking to a dial tone anyway, so it don't matter. So here's the bottom line: you want to get in the door, you use an icebreaker. Okay, and I got some good icebreakers for you here, just to give you an example. Hey, what's going on there, John? Is it still raining $100 bills out there? John, you're harder to catch up with than the president. You know, something like that. I know that I know they're corny, but you know what I mean. They work. I mean, there's this other one, that I use too. Like, hey, John, man, you're harder to catch up with than my wife's boyfriend. You don't drive a red pickup, do you? I mean, just whatever. Like, again, using humor, but you use that icebreaker within that first 10 seconds as soon as you, um, ask for them. And another thing, if you're pitching a male, okay, This could go both ways, whether you're pitching a male or a female. Let's say you're pitching a male. If a male answers the phone, you automatically assume that that's them. You don't say the male answers, you're obviously trying to get a high up on the ladder as you can, so you're hoping that's the owner or the purchasing agent. But I mean, hi, is John there? Is you know what I mean? You don't want to. Yeah, this is no. Hey, what's going on, John? How you doing, man? Is it still raining $100 bills? You doing all right? I mean, you gotta get. You know what I'm saying? So. Um, and I'm winging it here, man. I don't have none of this scripted, so I'm just kind of winging it. I got these tips in my head. I don't really even have an outline jotted down. I just had some stuff in my head, and a couple of these I'm like, man, these are some good tips. The next thing is this. Now everybody knows that you want to ask yes questions, okay? But I use a little bit more of a scripted formula, and the way I do it is every three yeses equals a close, whether it be a trial close, your next level close. I mean, you know how many different closes there are. That's a whole nother, there's 8 to 10 to who knows how, depending on your industry. I mean, you probably use a bunch of different closes, but as soon as you get three yeses, you better at least try a close, you know. Obviously, we know how to build yes questions to get him in the habit of saying yes, but once you do three, that you try a close. Doesn't work, then you go back to getting yes questions and getting them to talk. Once you get three yeses, time to try the close again. And sometimes, if you've been in telesales or for a while, you know that sometimes if you're really a hammer, I mean, some people will give up after a couple, but like they say, sometimes you got to close a guy 5 to 7 times to get the order. So, I mean, you got to go after it. That's the bottom line, you know. And the last couple tips I got, I think are really good. So hang on here. Actually, I'm having a little bit of a brain fart. Let me just think. Oh, now I know what it is. Oh, this right here is an awesome tip. I'm gonna give you a tip, man. This one is worth its weight in gold, man. I'm telling you what, this tip works for me every single time. I mean, for obviously not every single day. 90% of the time, I get through where I wouldn't have got through by doing this. Okay, so this is what you do. You call up. Yeah, yeah. Could I speak with John, please? They're going to say, who is it? Or who's calling, please? Oh, yeah, this is Timmy D calling him back. Calling him back. You know, Timmy D calling him back. And as soon as you say that, then they think like, oh, like you had a previous conversation with this guy. And you're not necessarily deceiving them. I've never had the guy be like, most of the time the guy will come to the phone a lot more too if you say that. But I've never really had him call me out and say like, oh, what do you mean calling me back? Like sometimes they might wonder, did I talk to him? But a lot of times, if you've called him a couple times or whatever before, could be a month ago, you're technically, yeah, you're calling him back, right? I mean, yeah, either way, whether it's a call back for a order, a call back for an appointment, or I haven't talked to you in 2, 3 weeks, been trying to get a hold of you. I'm technically calling you back, so you're not doing nothing wrong. But on the secretary's end, she thinks you got a call back lined up. And when she mentions that, however, she pages them or tells them, Timmy D calling you back, then he's a lot more likely to come to the phone too. So you are going to get a hold of a ton more people than you normally would have by just using the simplest of the simplest technique. Yeah, it's blah blah blah, calling him back. Try it, and then if you like that tip and if it works, which I know it will, show me some love, share this, and at least make a comment because I guarantee you this is going to do wonders for you. Okay, so I didn't want to make this video over 10 minutes. I just wanted to share some love here and drop some knowledge. But the last thing that I always do, because I'm all about customer service, because I believe that's how you build the whales. Okay, they like to be, whales need to be pampered, all right? And what I always do, always, no matter what it is on every order, I always, always, always do something extra. Now, like I said, I just sent someone to a baseball game. Another guy, I just sent another guy a bottle of Jameson whiskey. Another good thing that I do sometimes is kind of knowing their interests, I'll buy them a book and then I'll write on the inside. Now, obviously, you're not going to just go ahead and spend, depending on, if it's a first time order, but if it's a guy you've been dealing with, you can spend a little bit of money, 10, 20, 30 bucks on the guy will definitely pay off way more than you've invested. I mean, you invest 30, it'll probably pay back tenfold at least, bottom line. I mean, when you do that, you really, really get on their good side and they really, really believe that you care about them. And I really do care about my customers, so I actually like to do something extra, and it doesn't necessarily even have to always be a gift. You know, hey, I'm gonna throw a couple extra blah 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 in the box, or you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna upgrade you to next day shipping. You know what I mean? Always like when my customers, every time they order, they know that they're getting something extra. I mean, even if I don't mention it, when they look in the box, there's going to be something extra. That's just the way I do it. And if you start doing it like that, you're going to build a lot more. You're going to take a lot more of these small time customers that are just mediocres. You're going to make a lot more of them whales. So hopefully you got something out of this. If you did, share or leave a comment or whatever. So appreciate it, and I'm gone. But anyway, here below there's also a link to my new book. It's called Sales Power. Bunch of downloads, free stuff in there. It's a 64-page book, all kinds of telesales tips, and it's free. You don't got to do nothing. It's a free PDF download. Just go ahead, follow the link, and you get the book for free. All right. Thanks for watching.